Well, this is the Bugs Bunny of the cat world. Don't be an Elmer Fudd when it comes to silver. You got to be smart like Bugs. Right there, Putin. He's cool. He's chill. Anyway, this guy's too smart to be a cat, man. So it's my business partner, man. So anyway, I want to bring up something else about we're talking about the price of inflation was one of the reasons people get silver, right? And well, the price of inflation and the index of inflation, the price of consumer goods that are essential to people, and the most essential consumer goods to people are energy and food, especially food. Now, here is the Consumer Research Bureau, the CRB Food Index, and this goes back to '05. Basically, you can see we had a spike up here in early 2011, and what happened was, that was really about the time all the commodities were going up, like silver and all that type of stuff. And what are you eating here, Mr. Putin? Don't eat that. That's a plastic thing. But anyway, it's spiking up again here. And this is where I have to say, commodities like essentials, like industrial commodities, food and energy, will generally run kind of together. It would be nice if silver just went up straight like a rocket. You can cash it in and buy other essentials. That would be great. And you may be able to do that somewhat, because they will not all move exactly in unison, but it's going to be roundabout. Roughly they will. Again, looking at this chart, this was in 2011, about mid-2011. Pretty much when commodities peaked out, because basically silver peaked out at the end of April 2011, and gold peaked out around in August, or say September 6th exactly, in 2011. And you had other peaks in August. There was also I think palladium hit 850. Earlier in the year it hit 860 or 865 or 870, something like that. But it is a good rough guesstimate as to what's going on. Oil hit like 120 something in around April, I think it was 2011. But you can see what's going on here. Oil is actually an indication too what's going on, because it did get over 104, then it decreased and went down to like 100 something on a WTI. Now it jumped up again while silver and the metals are dropping, right? Now I'm going to get on to a couple other things too, because this is I know you got to be patient with this stuff, and I know people are saying, hey, it's never going to go up, it's never going to go up. It is going to go up in relation to the dollar. It's not dangerous to buy now. That's the thing. It will be dangerous to buy at other time, and when it goes into bubble mode, it's going to be very difficult to say how high is high, because things are going to go past what the fundamentals are. And that's where you just don't know. I mean, it's nobody really knows, but but right now it is a safe investment as far as it's because the price of silver is actually way too low. It is way too low for what's going on in the world and what's going on fundamentally with the mines. Now, also, George Soros recognizes this fact. You may not like this guy politically, but he's actually greatly, and this is from a while back, he's greatly actually added to his gold position when by 75% back in 2013, back in May 2013. Remember, we had that big correction in gold, and I stated this before. The 6 largest bullion banks in January 2013 were net short on gold. As of May 2013, they were net long. Well, that's what George Soros, actually, he increased his gold position by more than 75%. Then so many months later, in August, mid-August of 2013, he's got a short position in the S&P, or a major short position, and he's actually greatly increased that short position again in 2014. It's like a slow process. It's a slow process. It's like when it hits fast. Just like when silver jumped up, it really, even in 2010, when it was moving up from $17 or $18 and hit 30. People were cheering it on when it went past 20. And when it hit 30, they thought it was too high. And then what happened? It went all the way up to 47 in just a few months in 2011. It retraced a little bit down to 26 in late January 2011. Then 3 months later, from that retracement, it practically doubled. That's what you might expect to happen again. When it happens, it happens very quickly. And it looks like food is I'll show that chart again. That's a fast upward spike here. That's a fast upward spike. It may go up to here. Food prices. It may, it's not going to say that it's going to double, but this is actually from the Commodity Research Bureau, which is, public information, and it's accurate information. It's actually what's going on. It's not a forecast. It's actually what's going on. We're seeing a major spike in the food prices. Now, this is not just solely because of, the problems with the U.S. dollar or currency crisis or excessive debt or too much money printing. It's also due to all the climate changes that are going on, the excessive weather. Either it's too cold, it's too dry, it's too rainy. It goes in all different extremes, and it's causing problems in the production of food. And this is where Jim Rogers is going to be correct. Jim Rogers actually says the future is going to be in agriculture. Nobody wants to be a farmer anymore because it's not like doesn't have the fancy name as some of the Wall Street and financial wizards do, and doesn't carry that prestige and clout like some people want to have. But in reality, it's a noble profession. It's a profession that was endorsed highly by the founding fathers of the United States. Now, I know I mentioned George Soros here, and I know, I don't agree with this. There's politically, I guess there's one little tidbit I agree with Soros on. He says that both the United States and Russia are kind of like bullies in the world. In a way, he's right. I don't know. I would almost be one, and I'm just going to put this out there for food for thought, but, I never thought, if I was somebody interviewing George Soros, the question I would put to him, and, it would be an interesting answer, not that he can make this happen or what. I would say, what do you think about having the Bill of Rights as actually in the U.S. Constitution, as the law of the land everywhere across the globe? And I wonder what his answer would be. It's kind of an interesting question to put forth to a person that supposedly says he's for social justice. I would like to see how he'd answer that question. That would be quite interesting, wouldn't it? You might be surprised. A lot of times these people with a lot of wealth, they live in a little bubble, and they have very little real contact with what's going on in the world. So they got these ideologies in their head that they actually might think they're doing the right thing, and maybe they're not. And people are mad at them, and there's a lot of different things that are going on. But anyway, it looks like we got the same old BS problems going on, and Obama. I don't know if he's going to get impeached or what, but I wish people didn't vote for this guy, because actually Obama's got about as much in common. I know partly Obama got elected because he would have been our first black president, but when you're looking at his background and really where he's from and everything, he's got about as much in common with the American black people as an American white person has with a polar bear up in the North Pole. I mean, he's got darker skin, he's black in heritage, but his background is not USA American. And I think that's a big problem. And, the fact that Soros backed this guy makes me not like Soros, to tell you the truth. I don't really like Soros, but there's a couple tidbits I like about him. One is that he would like to legalize medical marijuana. Actually, we like to legalize marijuana in its entirety, and also industrial hemp. Now, in my opinion, industrial hemp could be the one thing that can really make a big difference in the world as far as productivity, energy sources, food sources, for protein, medicines, materials, and fibers, and replace a lot of things that are very. Let me put it this way: if you believe in greenhouse gases, you know that the oil industry, to extract oil, causes greenhouse gases. In the case of hemp, when you're growing hemp for fuel, it fixes the air. It fixes the air. It doesn't destroy the air quality. It fixes the air quality. And that's about the only thing I could say I like about Soros. But I wish he never would have backed Obama, because it was one of those things where Obama, I think, I don't know what the deal is with this guy. It's like he's got power because he's the president, obviously, but it's like, and we know every president pretty much has to answer to a lot of different people. It's not like they run the whole show. But in the case of Obama, it's almost like I don't like it because he's not somebody who's really coming from America. He didn't come from America, basically. His background is really not American. He's really not lived in the United States that much, even. If he was a true blue American, came from Newark, New Jersey or something, I would be, it would be a lot different story. And, when Soros backed this guy, I think it's all about, weakening America because he hates America because America's a bully, and he also hates Russia because he thinks Russia's a bully. In some cases, that's true for both sides. And but anyway, it looks like our consumer index from the Consumer Research Bureau, the food index, is going up greatly. But no matter what you think about Soros is one guy that made his money on his own. I think Jim Rogers wasn't a bright star in that. Jim Rogers isn't stupid at all. But when the Quantum Fund, he was partners with Soros in the Quantum Fund. I think it was really Soros was the real driving force behind that, more than Jim Rogers. Soros isn't thinking about investing in Russia. Jim Rogers is, and Mark Farber is. And I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be doing that. I wouldn't trust it. It's a lot of interesting things going on. I know a lot of people talk about it. I'm going to tell you one thing. One part of problem where, people looking at Russia and they say Russia's this, and, they're trying to defend their interest. There's one little problem with Russia. In their history, they got kind of a siege attitude where they always think the outsiders are coming to, after them because of, what happened at Stalingrad, what happened in Leningrad, what happened in the history before, what even happened in the Crimea many years ago when you had the British and the French, and they had to charge the Light Brigade against the Russian forces, and there was all kinds of history going way back. That's actually kind of ingrained in the Russian attitude that they have a siege mentality. And this is partly why, it's almost like, oh, you can't, they get all bent out of shape when something happens. This Crimea, I'm kind of diverging here, but this Crimea situation, actually the Crimea is more of an autonomous republic that is within Ukraine, and it was agreed upon when the Soviet Union fell apart that Crimea would be part of the Ukraine. But they are an autonomous republic within the Ukraine. It's not like they're, they're semi-autonomous within Ukraine itself. It's not like they're, rigidly controlled so much by the Ukraine government. I think the Russians are just hitting a big panic button on this Ukraine garbage, big time. I know there was Soros elements in there and stuff like that, but there's a lot of crap going on all sides. And if you really look at the big picture, what may be going on, this is an orchestrated play to eventually lead to a global war with the intention and ultimate goal of leading to a global government. Because World War I was about basically pushing for a global government. You had the League of Nations. World War II was about pushing for a global government. The United Nations. The United Nations drawing was already being drawn up in plans for back in the 30s. So, and actually, when you look at Russia, there's pretty much now a merger between Rosneft and BP. I think Rosneft now is the biggest oil producer. Rosneft is the biggest Russian, biggest oil producer in the world. It's, it's almost like there is no East and West. They're just big damn corporations. So all this political crap, people getting all bent out of shape about it, it's a big pile of bullshit. I just want to put that out there, too. It is. It is. There's a game going on. They want you to choose a side so you can go kill each other so they can come in and then set down the rules after the mess is figured out. That's the game. But if there's going to be a lot of global tensions, gold and silver is going to go up. And I just want to recall again about oil kind of taking a charge upward today while the metals kind of pulled back. Well, oil, I'm going to tell you this, oil usually trades very technical. I don't trade oil. I'm just holding on to some freaking double leverage because I think it's going to explode at one point in time, and I'll just sell it for one. I'll make a gain then. But it trades very technical. It goes like in $10 increments. Like if it goes below 100, a lot of times it means it's going to go down to 90. If it goes over 100, a lot of times it means it's going to go to 110. But you don't know, is it going to go to, when that's going to happen exactly? Is it going to bust through 110, go to 120? But it usually trades in these $10 windows. So I found it interesting that it went up $1 something today, where it's at 101 on the WTI. And I know the oil price market is rigged, but I'm telling you, this is pretty much the pattern. It tells me that even when oil charges up like that a good amount and the metals pull back a little bit, it usually tells me there's a lot more life in the metals. See, you're not going to see metals drop a real lot and oil prices stay well over 100 on the WTI. That's not going to happen. And you just got to keep that common sense thing in perspective because, pretty much all this stuff is going to work together. Food's going to go up. This is another indication that, it's not just from global climate change. It's also from the dollar. It's from a number of things. But this is another indication where you're going to see silver go up too. But what happens with silver, especially more so than gold, is it takes off like a rocket unexpectedly. And, your biggest fear is going to be taking cash because, everybody's going to be screaming that the dollar's going to oblivion when the silver goes up. But, I'm going to say this again because I've repeated this many times. Think of yourself just as a business. If you look at any business with a balance sheet, the biggest item on the balance sheet in the equity section, in the asset section, is not cash. It's a small portion. And there's a lot of, work in progress and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of capital assets that they have on the books. And this is what you want to exchange when you sell silver, is to go into another capital asset that's depressed. You may not do it just solely as an investor, but you may do it as an entrepreneur where you buy a capital asset that helps you produce some goods that will be useful to people. That could be anything. I don't know what it could be because there's a million different industries out there. But just keep that in mind. Because I know the people who will tell you never, ever, ever sell silver. And you'll say, what are you going to do, take fiat? Well, the fiat cash is the medium of exchange in the United States of America. If you are going to buy another capital good, you're going to have to take cash for your silver to buy another capital good. No business has mostly cash as their main asset on their balance sheet. No business. Just keep that in mind because, you're going to be scared to sell. And it's going to be impossible for me and Putin the cat, not that he knows anything, to determine how high this can go. Because, when things go in bubble mode, they don't make any sense. It's not by fundamentals. It's not by anything. Silver can go to some astronomical amount, way beyond what it should be. And, my biggest fear is I'll probably sell too early. So my strategy is to sell in pieces, but to carefully look at the next move. So keep that in mind. For now, it looks like the Consumer Research Bureau has said that food has taken a major jump upward. I know that's partly due to the weather, and also, just to review again, I mean, I'm not talking about Soros politically, but Soros money-wise. He's increased his gold holdings 75% back in May 2013. And I'll guarantee you, that's what's showing up that we know about. He probably has a lot more physical gold. I would almost think so. And you just don't know about it. The guy's not stupid. So if he's increasing his gold holdings exponentially, it's not an overnight trade. It's going to play out. It's going to play out. And he'll move on to the next capital asset. But to move on to the next capital asset, like I said, you have to take cash. I'm just going to say one thing on this too. Because say, for instance, you sell too early on silver and it goes up to $50 and you say, God, it's $50. Wow, it's way up there. And it goes to $70 and you're like kicking yourself you didn't sell it to $70. But as long as you make the right move next time, or as long as you have a capital asset that helps you to produce things for people that they need, you did not lose out. You did not lose out because, it's like you lost out potential money here, but you're getting money over here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.